Peacock is in onside. Peacock moves in. Shot! Score! Trey Peacock in overtime! And the Pioneers will go to defend their crown tomorrow afternoon.
Needless to say, that was last year's semifinals when Trey Peacock beat New Hampshire. And one of the guys on the bench for that, Ian Michaelchuck, assistant coach, William Patterson University, joins us now on the line. Coach, Brett and JP here. How you doing?
Hey, guys. How's it going today?
Pretty good, pretty good. Last year was had its ups and downs, but boy, did it finish strong. Just look back quickly on how it went last year for you guys.
I thought last year was a real strong year for us, given the amount of new players we had come in. We had about 20 new guys rostered. And, coming off that year before, we finished number 3 in the country. We knew there'd be some growing pains, but to finish strong there at the end, to be able to win a 4th consecutive league championship, that was a really big building block for us.
Now, Coach, you had a disappointment in not going to nationals last year. Is that going to be your number one focus this year, getting back to nationals?
Yeah, I mean, every year Joe and I sit down, we kind of hash it out. We love winning league championships. We love winning games, but at the end of the day, it's always been a goal, both of ours now for about 10 years, both playing and coaching, to win a national championship at the Division II level. So when we sit it down, that's always the ultimate goal. And, when we start creating a schedule or making plans, we schedule these 3-game weekends to kind of gear up for a national type setting, and the whole season's kind of geared around, going for that title.
Now, coming into this year, one of the first things that sticks out to me, and we had talked to you last year during the course of the season, this guy might be joining the team, that guy might be joining the team. And then over the summer, we get the news that a graduate student now joining the Pioneers who used to be playing for the Violets. When Richie Pillai is on the team, and JP and I looked at each other, we're just like, this is going to be insane. So talk about Richie.
Yeah, man. Richie is a scary player for sure. I mean, guys put up 160 points in 3 years, and it's just kind of been a real force, in our league, and a headache for us. We played NYU 4 times last year, so every time we see him, we know that a lot of their game would revolve around Richie. And I think that, Richie's had the opportunity to play with a couple of our guys in the All-Star games and whatnot, and they actually gelled really well. So the idea of being able to play Richie with some of our top-tier guys is something that's extremely exciting, for me and Coach Joe. And he's just another guy that, other teams are going to have to try to take away and try to get the matchup on.
I know a couple of times last year when we were doing NYU games, Brett and I would say, I can't believe this guy's on the ice again. He was just always on the ice. What do you look for this year as far as getting him with certain guys on the squad? Do you guys have any idea of who you're going to put him with, who you possibly might bunch him up with on a line?
Yeah, I mean, Richie, even more so 2 years ago, we had that number 3 team in the country, 4-loss team. Richie really hurt us that year. He was a guy that he's just really hard to account for. He can find space anywhere. So if we can somehow, find him some space with a guy like Kyle, bigger body, or, a guy with speed like Mara, or a kid like Hunter who's just going to grind out there. I mean, there's so many options. The way that Richie plays, you could pretty much plug him in on any line, and he's going to make that line, extremely dangerous.
Well, it was a good getting him on the team. He's replacing one Jeff Zammer, who was a guy who was a good player for you guys. Came in, did a lot in his years on the team. Yeah, tell us a little bit about Zams. What's he doing now after hockey?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Jeff, you guys hear me say it all the time. One of my favorite quotes is, you can't make a cake out of just icing. And Jeff's one of those guys, man. He's one of the grittiest competitors we've ever had in the program. Next year he's going to be kind of helping me a little bit on the recruiting side. I know he wants to take a little interest in that, and we're definitely going to keep him around the program just given how strong his character is. As far as I know, he's got a job right after graduating here, and he's been working pretty hard all summer long just trying to adjust to real life like the rest of us.
Some things that we don't want to adjust to, but it does happen. Now, I know there was a lot of excitement about some other new players that were going to come in. And of course, the tryout camp is going to be happening shortly for the team. What are some of the players, some of the new players coming in, you're really looking forward to?
Right. I mean, obviously, can't wait to see Richie wearing that black and orange. I mean, that's definitely the biggest one for sure. But just to help solidify the back end there, we have two really solid tenders coming in, Gary Shopler and then Jordan Houlihan. Jordan actually played with Matty Braun on the Hitmen, so they kind of have a familiarity with each other. Those guys are going to provide some real depth there in our crease. We got a couple of D-men coming in, a couple guys from high school, but then we also have junior players that I recruited. One named Woody Cap, who actually played juniors with Nick Rosenbach out in Helena, Montana.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And we also have a Lou LeClaire who played in the Central States League a couple of years back. He's a real solid player. Going to definitely provide some stability in the back end to go along with kids like Luke Freeland was a real solid high school player coming by. And as you guys know, man, we have a ton of forwards in this program. So we brought in a lot of guys that we thought could really fix some places where it would be a little bit tougher. So we picked up like Eddie Cox from the Hitmen to name one. We have a couple other guys who've come in that we think can definitely fill some roles. But I didn't want to bring in 20 new guys again. I think that a lot of the guys we have returning took huge steps last year. I'm really excited to kind of see how they developed over the summer, and it's going to come down more to how we're putting these lines together with the new guys coming in along with some of these. I mean, think about how many freshmen we had last year. Some of these guys that are coming in their second year here.
Yeah, it's almost like the team, you could see the talent on the team last year, and of course got so close. The heartbreak against NYU in the regional tournament, and then just to add this talent on, I mean, for Pioneer fans, it's going to be exciting. And at the very least, it's a team that is going to have the potential to score a lot of goals.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and to add to that too, it's for us last year, Joe and I sit down at the end of the year, and when you kind of look at the schedule and you look at the games we lost, and some people might say it was a rebuilding year. Well, a rebuilding year for us is six 1-goal losses, and then one game we had a lot of injuries, and that game against UNH. But I thought we were extremely competitive last year, and when we got to regionals, we lost the game to NYU. You have to consider, we played that team 4 times. We were 3-1 against them at some point. They might have your number. Or it was just a situation where those games are, extra tough when you're playing the league competitors there at regionals. But, this year we're hoping to have such a strong regular season that we can secure an auto bid again, like we did in the 4 past years prior.
Well, I know last year we talked just after the tournament was over, and you were saying how you wanted to get certain guys in shape. Tell us a little bit about what you did to get these guys rocking off ice in the summer.
Oh yeah, I mean that's probably the most exciting thing we have going here is that after the season ended, we weighed all these guys. We told them what we expected their weight to be coming in. So for instance, some of our younger guys, these speedsters like Jordan Lang, Simone, Mark Papadopoulos, I've been talking to these guys throughout the summer. I know Jordan probably weighs about 185 pounds. He played at about like 162 last year. So and he's fast. I mean he put on a ton of muscle. These guys are still growing. They're 18, 19 years old. We were able to provide, workout programs, nutritional support, just through a lot of different resources we had throughout the school. And I think the guys really took advantage of it. So this year, more so than any other, I think we're going to be in really top shape.
Hudson Hockey here, Brett, JP, along with Coach Ian Michaelchuck from William Patterson University. Okay, I got a just curious question off the top of my head here. Are we going to see more of the black jerseys this year? As opposed, I mean, those we were just talking about before. Those jerseys look sharp. So are we going to see more?
I was listening too about the Olympic discussion. Though it's funny. What's crazy about the jerseys, and you guys will love this. Coach Balance and I sit down, and we actually have a couple surprises this year in terms of jerseys. You might actually see 4 or 5 jerseys being debuted this year. But in terms of the black jerseys, we call that, we're blocking it out. We only wear them for the real big games. And a lot of the guys are just so comfortable wearing those white jerseys since, we went to nationals, we wore them. Like, I think it's more of a comfort thing. Like, we pretty much talked to the guys prior, what do you guys want to wear this weekend? For whatever reason, man, they're real big on those whites, but I think this year we're definitely going to unveil a lot of different jerseys here and hoping to score some style points with you guys.
I tell you, I absolutely love the black jerseys. That's just me. I love all sorts of uniforms, but 5, geez, that's
a lot for a college team.
That's a lot.
Oh yeah, we're becoming like the Oregon Ducks of college hockey over here with Coach Balance. He's turning and burning these things out. So I'm pretty excited there.
There you go, exactly. Now back to the players on this team. Obviously last year, big contributions out of guys that you mentioned earlier, Garlasco, and of course the captain Matt Hunter did such a great job there last year too. And a brought in net. But is there someone that was lurking on the outside that all of a sudden we might see a big year out of this year?
Yeah, and I think that last year you guys kind of saw it. Like Kyle Garlasco, his first year here weighed 240 pounds, and he was kind of more of a banger out there looking like Lucic. And last year, he cuts down to 250 pounds, or 215, and he's playing, puts in like 60 points. So the guy I would say to watch this year is a kid like a Trey Peacock, a guy that just lives in the gym. That he's going to have his chances. And we kind of saw it when he scored that game winner against UNH, the kind of speed and power that kid has going to the cage. I think that he's one of the smartest shooters on our team. If you look at the kind of goals he scores, he's not trying to rip top shelf. He's, shooting low and banging home rebounds. And I think a kid like that is just set for success this year, no matter who he plays with.
I'm glad I chose that sound clip to lead off the segment.
What a coincidence.
Oh, yeah.
Because, we saw that Peacock overtime winner. That was just a hard drive to the net. And that play came out of nowhere. That was just, turnover, counterattack the other way, and Peacock just lowered his shoulder and beat the defenseman and scored that goal. It was just, the speed you were talking about, but also there was a lot of element of strength in there as well.
Yeah.
That with his being
Speed.
a gym rat, him being a gym rat, there you go. But I got a chance to look at the schedule, and there's a lot of home games front loaded there. So now was this just that's the ice time you can get, or was this done by design? You want to get a lot of home early and then hit the road second half of the year?
Well, yeah, part of it is you have to figure the closer you get to nationals, wherever our league playoffs may be, we know that nationals is going to be Massachusetts this year. We want to be on the road as much as possible in the second half, just to get guys used to playing in different rinks, getting on certain schedules, getting used to being on the bus, getting used to taking the road trips. And in terms of scheduling, too, you figure in New Jersey, when high school hockey starts, we have an option for a lot more game slots. So the one good thing this year is we're going to do Friday night games, and most of them are going to be like Saturday afternoons. And that's pretty much more what the national schedule looks like instead of 2 night games. So, pretty much every decision Joe and I make revolve around, what would be the best to get these guys prepared to go 5 games in a row in a national setting.
Yeah, we were noticing that there's a lot of afternoon games Saturdays and Sundays.
And by the way, both Brett and I appreciate that, Coach.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I think we all appreciate getting home. I might actually get home to see the kids before they go to bed.
There you go.
But
Yeah.
it's the one thing too is seems to be the team, whether it be on social media or whatever, when we were doing the games last year, has gotten a real good following, real strong following. And I've already seen the posts and everything, when's the season starting? Can't wait for Pioneer Hockey. Pioneer Army, as it's called. Your message out there to the Pioneer Army, going forward to this season.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome, man. We've been voted the most popular team on campus now, I think, 4 or 5 years in a row. For the Pioneer Army, man, you have to be excited just with the players we've coming back, the guys who we brought in that second half there last year, and the guys who kind of developed throughout the year. I think that doing this now for about 4 or 5 years, this is probably our best shot ever to win a national title. So hopefully you guys can all be along for the ride. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I would love to be along for it.
Definitely.
We got to get on the commissioner again.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, who did we talk to about maybe getting a WPU jacket or sweatshirt to look good on camera for when we're on camera?
Yeah, that's Joe Balance, man. He holds,
we gotta talk to
he
Joe.
holds all that power.
All right. We'll get on
next
Joe
week
on
when he's on, or whenever he's on.
Whenever we get him on, we'll hit him up on Facebook.
It's not for nothing, but it's cold up in that arena.
Oh man, you're telling me. It's freezing cold.
It's a little cold, and we're sitting up on the staircase half the time. So it's all good. Coach Ian Michaelchuck of William Patterson University, thank you very much, sir, for joining us today, and enjoy the warm weather while it's still here.
Yeah, I'll try, guys. Thanks a lot. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right,
Coach.
you later.
Thanks.
Coach Ian Michaelchuck there of William Patterson University. 7:40 here on MTR Radio. This is Hudson Hockey. When we come back, I like what Team Canada is doing with their Olympic orientation camp. So we'll get into that other side of the break. This is Hudson Hockey, only on MTR Radio.